things you can do to actually get through being bullied. Oh my god. Hello my little darlings and welcome back to my channel, and if you're new here, an extra warm welcome to you, and please don't forget to press that like and the subscribe icon down below so you also can become a part of the Darling Squad and the Degasmo family as well. Now, so going back to school can be very frightful for some people, or many people I have understood. I always thought that I were alone at being bullied by others, but I have now understood that many more than me is experiencing the same thing. And while I see a lot of other going back to school videos, you know, like easy going back to school makeup routine in the morning, or going back to school makeup haul, or going back to school supplies haul, or going back to school clothing haul, or stuff like that, I mean, that is not actually touching on the subject of how to deal with those anxieties. And there is multiple ways of dealing with anxieties about going back to school and being bullied, of course. Being bullied is something that you will have a hard time dealing with, but you can deal with it. I did deal with it for almost 10 years when I went to school, and I got through it, thankfully, and I will never go back into a school environment ever again. So that is why I have not actually studied further, you know, educated myself to be a, you know, a nurse, or maybe a doctor, or maybe a hairdresser and stuff like that. Because when I think of education, I used to think about all of those years I were bullied in school. And I haven't really dealt with all of those issues yet, because there are so much to deal with. I just can't deal with it all, probably for a lifetime. But there are a few things you can do to actually get through being bullied and being bullied in school, and actually not being a totally complete wreck when coming home from school, actually. So you have probably experienced your first day already. I really don't know when school starts. It's so different from city to city, counter to counter, you know. But the first and foremost thing I did when I were bullied and I were going back to school, and that were complaining. And there is no shame in complaining, especially if your parents are awake with you in the morning and you eat breakfast together maybe, or something like that. Or maybe you have some other friend that you can complain to. And it's always a good thing to express your emotions to somebody you feel close to. Maybe a parent, or maybe another relative that you feel close and safe with. And that can be, first and foremost, be a relief to say those feelings out loud, and maybe get some comfort back, or, you know, that somebody listens and understands it's tough and stuff like that, you know. That is the first thing you can do. The second thing you can do, if you are really afraid that the first day of school is gonna be horrific, is to come a wee teensy 10 seconds late to the classroom, so everybody's, you know, getting ready to sit down, and just burst in there with the bag, you know, and you sit down in any available place. Because in that scenario, in that environment, nobody is gonna have the time to harass you or bully you or say something evil or snarling at you, or something like snarling like a wild animal, but that is probably never gonna happen in school anyways. But, you know, making a snappy comment, you know, you just know when people are being mean, you know, you can hear it somehow. Well, of course, while that helps, you know, to deal with that first stress in the morning, it's not gonna help you deal so much with all the breaks, and, you know, maybe you have 1 hour when you don't have a lesson and you are open to attacks from other people. And there is actually nothing much you can do there. It's either to lock yourself in the toilet, and that is nothing we don't want to do, because we don't want to be that victim in every high school movie, you know. That is not what's gonna define us. So what I did when I went to school were an opening and you didn't have a lesson and you were gonna sit by yourself, you know. I often put music in, I just sat with the computer, you know, or my homework or something like that, and just did that. Especially somewhere where there are a lot of people. In an open space you aren't secluded from other people, you know, so you are alone and easier to attack, you know, because if you are alone in a hidden little corner and the bullies find you, you are in a very exposed position. But if you are sitting in an open space, maybe in the cafeteria where you have the personnel going around, you know, or maybe near somebody's classroom where they are having a class, you know, all of those things can help deter the bullies from actually attacking you, because there are other people who can see it. And since bullies are in essence psychopaths that do want to make you feel little alone and inadequate, because themselves are, you know, probably the same thing. They feel that, so they want you to feel that too. They often take the opportunity when you are alone, and that's why it's always good to be in a public open space where there are a little bit of people around you, because that will actually deter them from doing stuff to you. And if they do something to you, you have a lot of witnesses, it will not go unnoticed, you know. So that's what I did first and foremost. Or maybe you do have your school in close perimeter to a shopping center. I always went there on my breaks, you know, to get away from the school environment and the bullies. And if they did find me at that particular place, you know, there were a lot of people around me, so they didn't do anything physically to me. Maybe they did shout bad words or nasty words to me, but you know, close your ears, have music in, you don't hear them, just ignore them. I feel that bullies do want you to feel sad, they do want to see you cry, they do want to see you get angry and scream at them, you know, they think that is fun. It satisfies them somehow that you are crying and you are mad and you are sad and you feel unworthy and little and all of that stuff you do feel like when you are being bullied. Don't give them that satisfaction. That is the third thing you can do if you are feeling very afraid and very, you know, uncomfortable with the situation you are in, is that, you know, just block them out, ignore them. That hurts them more than it does you, you know, because it's better to ignore them and then maybe they just give up somehow, or maybe if they doesn't give up and you still ignore them, it just, I don't know, it just feels better, you know, you knowing that it upsets them, and since they can't touch you anymore with mean comments and mean things. And if they by some chance are being physical with you, you know, beating, hitting, bumping you around, you know, maybe you are walking in the corridor and the gang comes up to you and they starts, you know, pushing you around or bumping you into the wall and stuff like that. If that happens too often and you're starting to get bruises or you're starting to get physical evidence that they are actually being physically with you, you can actually go to the police and report them. I know that sounds very harsh, but the police is a good deterrent to that sort of stuff, even though the police will probably not to do anything about it because it's up to the school to deal with it oftentimes. Just knowing that you have actually reported them and they have that in their file will actually be a relief if something bad happens, because if you record everything they do and if you are doing a charge against them, you know, somehow because they have been terrifically mean and physical with you, if that happens again, you know, if it happens often enough, something will happen, you know, someone will actually wonder what is going on, why is there so many complaints or charges against them, and they will look into it. I didn't do that when I went to school because it didn't feel necessary to do it, but I should have reported a lot of stuff to the police when I did go to school, even stuff that my teachers did, and I regret it to this day that I didn't report it as discrimination or something like that, you know, because you are in a very exposed position. So don't be afraid to report them to the police or report them to the teachers or the headmaster or anything like that, because you do need to stand up for yourself, otherwise they will never quit, you know. Don't hide in a corner, don't sneak up against the wall when they come. Just stand there tall-headed with the head up and look them right in the eyes, and you don't have to say, but you can think, you don't own me. You can't dictate how I should feel about certain stuff. And that is also why I have my channel motto, be who you are since nobody else can, because oftentimes they do pick on you because of maybe your choice of clothes, your choice of makeup, your appearance somehow, or your beliefs, or you know how good you are in school, you know, because that is, you know, very bad to be good in school, you know. But just say fuck you to them in your mind and say I will be who I am since nobody else can, because I am a unique, valuable, valid person, even though they say to me that I am not. I am a valid, unique, important person, you know, because that channel motto, be who you are since nobody else can, is something that I have carried with me for so long now. That is the only true shield I have against mean people, and that is also the best shield to have. If somebody makes a mean comment now on YouTube or maybe Musical.ly or TikTok as it's named now, or Instagram, I just be who you are since nobody else can, and I am being who I am since nobody else can be as I am. And if that is disturbing someone somehow, so they just have to bully you, that is their problem. It's not you who are the problem. If you're doing everything right, if you are a good person, you know, you aren't mean to people, and the only thing that they can't pick on you for is your appearance somehow, or maybe your belief system or something like that, even though you are not doing something evil with it. Think that to yourself. Be who you are since nobody else can, and always stick to that. Never let anybody else dictate how you should feel, how you should dress, how you should present yourself just because they are bullies, because bullies are bad people. Maybe they do have a bad upbringing or something like that, that affects their acts, how they act, how they do things, why they are bullying, but they are still horrible human beings, because even though bad stuff happened to us, that does not have to define how we are treating others, and that is also a rule I also live by. Treat everybody else how you like to be treated, and if you don't like to be bullied, you shouldn't bully others, of course. So you should be you should stand up for yourself, but you should not be a bully back. It's always a good thing to have some sort of plan if you are getting physical with somebody or someone is gonna beat you up, to have a plan how you should defend yourself without it being the other way around, But it's an issue to be bullied in school, and there is no real thing to do to make it stop. I am sorry to say, but the only thing you can do is to stand up for yourself. Come a little bit late in the morning if you need to. Don't be in secluded, alone places so they have a chance to sneak up on you and do bad things to you. And always, always, always be who you are since nobody else can, because they are just jealous of you being who you are. And that is always the foremost reason of being bullied, is you are who you are, and people are not into that, even though they should be into that, but they aren't, because everybody should be like they are, because they are the best, and they can't just stand somebody else not being like them. So don't be afraid to go back to school, stand up for yourself, be who you are since nobody else can. And if you are feeling sad and lonely, please comment down below and we can work it out together, my darlings. And don't forget to press that like, subscribe and notification icon so you can come back and watch more of my stuff if you are feeling lonely and vulnerable and sad, and maybe I can cheer you up somehow. Be who you are since nobody else can, and I see you in the next video. Bye! Oh my god.